How can you not be romantic about Joe Flacco? Bengals win Thursday Night Football. Let's break it down.
You are Locked On Bengals, your daily Cincinnati Bengals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, Bengals fans, and welcome to another episode of the Locked On Bengals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Jake Liscow, he's James Rapien, and we've been covering your Cincinnati Bengals here through the thick and the thin, and now we're back in the thick of it with the Bengals climbing back into this AFC North race since 2016 here on Locked On Bengals, the best one-stop shop for all things Bengals on the internet. We've got you covered from post games to the offseason and the draft, and today it's a post-game show in which the Bengals have gotten back into things in the AFC North, not letting the Steelers run away from it. Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers having an absolute spectacle of a time on Thursday Night Football, James, and Joe Flacco playing excellent football, dare I say, an elite Joe Flacco game. Joe Flacco is elite. Is that the answer to the question after all these years? We just had to wait until he was older than 40 and playing for the Bengals. Welcome back, by the way, to the Everydayers and all of you who make us your first listen. This will be a fun one, James.
Yeah. What's not fun about a team that had their backs against the wall, hadn't scored a first half touchdown in 4 games, was outscored 79-9 coming into this, and the game turns in the final 5 minutes of the first half. They own that time. And so for them to get a 33-31 win, one, I think it's season saving. Doesn't mean that they're going to make the most of it moving forward, but it gives them new life. 2-0 in the division. All of the things that we talked about the other day are true. Significant development for the Cincinnati Bengals team to win, for Joe Flacco to play the way he did, for Jamar Chase to continue to play the way he has. By the way, double-digit catches, 100-plus yards with 3 different quarterbacks already. It's week 7. That dude is just insane. Obviously, team records for receptions, targets, and there's a bunch of other things we could talk about with Jamar that we can do. But the story is Joe Flacco to me. I mean, for Joe Flacco to go 31-47 against that defensive front, against that team, and to give the Bengals the advantage and give them the lead, and then have to still lead them back downfield with 2 minutes to go and do it with ease. I'm stealing this from Dan Hoare. Joe Calm just delivers, because he was calm, cool, collected, got the Bengals down there so quickly that they had to chill. They had to calm the waters, and Evan McPherson delivered the win. It's just huge win for the Bengals to not just keep just stay interesting, but to keep all of the sights, all of the things that they wanted to accomplish this season. It felt like it went out the door week 2. And tonight was a reminder. Joe Flacco has been a reminder that don't close the door on this Bengals team just yet.
And what resiliency from this team tonight. From 10 down, 20 straight points. The defense throughout the night could hardly get a stop the entire game. But DJ Turner, after giving up a deep ball to DK Metcalf, that's the last I think we heard from DK Metcalf in this game, takes one away from DK Metcalf on the sideline, does DJ Turner. Jordan Battle cleaning up a terrible throw from Aaron Rodgers that was left way inside that Turner could have also picked off. Turner also had a pass breakout coming off his guy in zone, so Turner continuing his awesome run of play of late, even though he got beat for that one deep ball. And the reason that I bring up the defense, that we'll circle back to at some point either today or this week, because there's work to do on that side of the ball, is that they gave the Bengals those shots early. And despite what the defense did in this game overall, DJ Turner taking that ball away from DK Metcalf for one of the best interceptions you'll see this year. One of the most physical plays from DJ Turner, who gives up like 50 pounds, 30 pounds, some amount of crazy weight. Maybe I'm going a little bit too high with the 50, but a lot of weight to DK Metcalf and a lot of height to DK Metcalf to just muscle that thing out. And then Joe Flacco and the Bengals were able to go steal 3 points at the end of the half before they get the ball back. And that's where they get to the 20 straight. They're able to kind of maintain that 2-score lead for a while in the second half until Eventually, the Steelers take a lead. Like that, those takeaways helped. That got the Bengals back in the game where they had drops early. They had Chase Brown drop a ball with tons of grass in front of him early in this game. They had Andre Joseph drop a ball that could have potentially gotten close to or been a first down on a third down play. And despite that, despite what they went down with early, and maybe this should have been a sign because on the very first drive, Joe Flacco converted a 3rd and 14 with an awesome anticipatory pass to T. Higgins. Maybe that should have been a sign for the way the offense was going to go once they found their rhythm. And Flacco did find a rhythm. And Zach Taylor, for all the fire we've put under his seat lately, and I think he remains on a bit of a hot seat, he found a rhythm in this game with Joe Flacco, with the run game. Chase Brown averaging 9.8 yards per carry in this game with 2 explosive runs. What team am I talking about? It was that kind of day for this offense that bounced back from that slow start. And then it was Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Chase Brown. And heck, even Samaje Perine and Noah Fant and Andre Joseph, like redeeming themselves for some plays early in some cases or just otherwise being too much for the Steelers defense to handle.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the Bengals scored on 7 of their final 8 possessions on offense. This is an offense that was just awful. I mean, just awful up until the past 6 quarters. The past 6 quarters, they've been really good. And honestly, the first quarter, so I should take that out, I guess, because the first quarter was bad again. And it was another quarter. You're like, man, they're almost going to go another half without scoring a touchdown. And then the dam broke. And they were able to just keep the pedal on. And Jamar just being so – there aren't many guys with his explosion in NFL history that can turn any play into a touchdown from anywhere on the field that can also be possession receivers. This dude can be Randy Moss and Wes Welker. Like, he can do all of those things. And that's why – like Joe Flacco was talking after the game like, oh, it's just a little out route to Jamar and another out route. And it's so simple. But you don't want to get beat over the top by Jamar. And so that's part of it. His yak was a huge factor in ability to break tackles. T. Higgins put on the Jets. I mean, he got a mushroom. You know Mario Kart. He catches that ball. He got a mushroom, and it was like a jetpack. He just went into the end zone. I mean, either the Steelers secondary is the slowest secondary in the planet, or T. Higgins hit that jetpack, because that was a heck of a play too. This is just – I don't think you can overstate the significance of this win, because if they had lost, if they don't go down and get that field goal late and it's 31-30, I promise you all of the negative stuff that was really being said on social media at the start of the game, all of that turns into a full weekend, turns into all the way up until next week, into the Jets game. Even if they beat the Jets, doesn't matter. It's still going to be there, Like, this win gives the Bengals a chance to change the perception of the 2025 Cincinnati Bengals. And there aren't many wins that can do that when you lose 4 straight the way they lost 4 straight. But this one did that, and it gives them a chance to turn things around, which is a huge, huge development for the home team.
And more importantly, it builds confidence, and maybe that's the changing narrative. It gets them back into the division race instead of 5-1 and 2-4, or 2-5. Being the difference between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals. It's now 3-4 Bengals and 4-2 Steelers. Bengals right where they were last year in week 7, 3-4. And feels like last year in some ways when you think about this defense, but just getting back into the thick of things with the upcoming schedule gives them the ability to build on this. And now we've seen that Joe Flacco, he can actually put up incredible numbers with these guys. He's laughing after the game about how good Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are. He's pulling out the Ryan Finley keeper against the Pittsburgh Steelers all these years later, which I think we called in one of our shows on this channel earlier.
I think we
this
joked
week
about it. Yeah.
I couldn't remember which show it was, but I'm pretty sure it came up.
Maybe it was you and Sands, actually.
It might have been me and Sands. I can't remember. It was a quick week, quick turnaround, a lot going on this week.
What day is it?
But I have no idea. Not a clue. But an awesome win for the Bengals to get right back in to the mix in the AFC North, and we have so much more to talk about in this game. The run game, the offensive line. I have more to say about Joe Flacco. I'm sure we got to talk about the defense more as well. We'll continue those topics here coming up next. This episode of Locked On Bengals is sponsored by BetterHelp. October 10th was World Mental Health Day, and this year we're saying thank you, therapists. Life can be tough on and off the field, and behind millions of mental health journeys are the therapists who showed up, listened, and helped people take a step forward. BetterHelp is shining the spotlight on those connections while making it simple for you to find support wherever you need it, whenever you need it. Therapy moments can be life-changing, whether it's learning to better connect with your kids, healing a relationship, or finding just simply healthy ways to manage stress. If you've ever thought about trying therapy, this is a perfect reminder that help is out there and the right therapist can make all the difference. This Mental Health Day, join us in celebrating the therapists who have helped millions take a step forward. If you're ready to start your own journey, BetterHelp can help you find the right therapist. And our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/lockedon. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon.
Today's show is also brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is daily fantasy the way it should be. On PrizePicks, being right, well, it can get you paid. And don't miss the excitement of football season. Playing PrizePicks is such a fun, simple way to add more excitement, and you can do it without having to stress about the Bengals because you know they already won. So this Sunday, dive into PrizePicks, and you can pick more or less on player projections like Josh Allen's passing yards, Saquon Barkley rushing for a touchdown. Boom. You're in the game. And of course, with the NBA around the corner, everyone knows how big of an NBA fan I am. Boom, you can do that as well. And they also have an injury reboot feature. If your player leaves early and doesn't return, it won't count against you, all with PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. All right, Jake, let's continue the conversation here. Let's continue with Joe Flacco because I want to say this part. 9 days ago, he was traded. 9 days ago, we did the emergency episode. Now, people are listening to this, it's on Friday, or watching this, it's on Friday. But he goes out there and over the past 2 games had 219 yards against the Packers and gets really hot in the second half. Goes for 342 tonight. And so now you're talking about, what is that, 561? Am I right? 561? 561 yards. No interceptions. He entered his Bengals career with 6 interceptions this year. Hasn't thrown a pick. Hasn't really thrown many interceptable balls that I can recall. 5 touchdown passes in these 2 games. 3 tonight. 1 to Jamar. 1 to T. 1 to Noah Fant. I just, like, when you say all that out loud, it's wild because it's not like he went up against good or like awful defenses. These aren't awful defenses. These are good defenses that he's going up against. And they found a groove here on offense with Joe Flacco.
The narrative coming into this game was that the Steelers should blow out the Bengals and the Steelers defensive line should make Joe Flacco want to retire, and the corners are the best they've been in Pittsburgh, and they'll be able to hang with these Bengals receivers a little bit better than we've seen them do in the past. And Aaron Rodgers is figuring it out, and DK Metcalf is a terrible matchup for DJ Turner, blah, 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 blah. Jaylen Warren is going to be impossible to tackle. That was true. They had a tough time tackling Jaylen Warren in this game, and Jaylen Warren was probably the best player on the field for the Steelers, at least on offense. But despite all these narratives, despite what all the advanced data said about how bad the Bengals had been and how this offense had looked defunct, it was more of the same from Joe Flacco that we talked about when the Bengals went out and acquired Joe Flacco. This is the good outcome that you were hoping you would get when the Bengals acquired Joe Flacco, that he would be able to quickly read the defense, figure out what they were trying to do, especially in the division where he's played a ton of AFC North football. And Mike Tomlin spent time this week lamenting the Cleveland Browns being stupid enough to trade Joe Flacco to a division rival because he knew that he had to deal with Joe Flacco instead of Jake Browning now in this game. And that's exactly how it played out. He continues to make quick decisions with the football. His pocket presence and pocket movement has been honestly significantly above my expectations, James. The small movements in the pocket, the understanding of when the ball has to come out, when pressure is bearing down on him, his feel for blindside pressure when someone might be turning the corner and he can't see him. Those aspects of his game, really good. The accuracy in this game on a number of balls, the Yoshi ball, which is one we're probably going to talk about on the film breakdown the next time you hear from us, which is a throw that we asked Joe Burrow to make more. I'm pretty sure that's an alert ball. That's not usually a choice that Joe Burrow makes, but Joe Flacco quickly processed and dropped it in the bucket to Andre Yosevich. The fade to Jamar Chase's touchdown, that's a perfect fade ball in that situation. Great play from Jamar as well to go get under it, but a number of throws from Joe Flacco in this game to the intermediate part of the field and even to the deep part of the field with that Yoshi catch were just fantastic. And in addition to that, playing with great timing. These are a lot of the same things that I've said about Joe Burrow in the past when Joe Burrow's had good games, and mitigating the potential impact of the Steelers' pass rush by playing with that great timing and the subtle movements in the pocket and understanding when the ball has to come out, where it needs to go.
Yeah, it's everything you could have hoped for and then some. Is what he's been able to do and what he did against the Steelers. I do want to mention, as far as old guys go, Jalen Ramsey looked really old trying to guard Jamar Chase. That man looked old. There's a clip of Jalen on one of these podcasts, and I forget. I didn't try to find it during the game, but he was like, I think it was the pit. I don't know, but it was. He was like, I got Jamar. Like he made that. No, you don't. Jamar made that clear tonight. I don't know if there was a more one-sided. I think if you would have said one-sided matchups, a lot of people would have taken the Steelers defensive line over the Bengals offensive line, and that would have been the most one-sided matchup. That wasn't it. It was Jamar Chase versus Jalen Ramsey because it was barbecue chicken all night. He was serving him. I mean, that fade, Jalen's grabbing him, doesn't matter. Gets called for DPI, and then on the next possession gets called for DPI again, and just it was just easy for Jamar, and deserves a ton of credit there for making it look easy. I'm so surprised. Like I thought that this would work. I was like, but work means like have a functional offense and have a chance. If you would have told me the defense stunk it up when they acquired Joe Flacco, like, hey, the defense is going to stink outside of forcing a couple of turnovers. They're going to stink. I would have been like, well, they're not going to be able to beat the Steelers doing that. They're going to have to get more stops, and they're not going to have Trey Hendrickson. Like, if you would have just told me that stuff 9 days ago, I'd be like, oh, well, hey, at least you got Joe. It's going to be a little more fun on offense. But these guys were so great, so dialed in, so focused, and Zach called a really good game. That they all deserve credit. So the offense, obviously, they won them the game. The defense did force the turnovers. I'm not trying to poo-poo what Jordan Battle or DJ Turner. Or I'm trying to think of anyone else that I should be mentioning here on defense. It was rough. It was a rough game for the defense.
Logan Wilson had a nice pass breakup at one point. I guess.
Third linebacker, Logan Wilson.
Yeah, we'll get to the defense. Maybe it'll be in a minute. Maybe it'll be later in the show. We got to talk about this run game as well.
Let's do the run game. Let's stick with the positives.
But I wanted to just go back to the Steelers DBs in this game. Was it 5 DPIs or 4 DPIs between Joey Porter and Jalen Ramsey in this game? It was at least 4. It might have been a 5th. I lost track at one point. And that's in addition to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase combining for 33 targets. 33 targets for the Bengals' top 2 receivers in this game. 22 combined catches, over 250, 257, and 2 touchdowns. It could have been 3 if T didn't have the wherewithal to smartly slide down and reduce the amount of time with which the Steelers would have to answer what could have been a go-ahead touchdown for T. Higgins. In addition to that, Noah Fant, 4 catches on his 4 targets in this game, including a nice catch and run, including a touchdown on a nice pick play from the Bengals. So seeing his productivity tick up a little bit. Talked about Yoshi. Great redemption catch on that deep ball. It was a 37-yard gain on what I believe was an alert post from Joe Flacco. We'll talk about, again, like I said in the film episode, but let's get to the run game, James, because Chase Brown had multiple explosive runs in this game. Joe Flacco had a 12-yard run in this game on that keeper, called his own number. And generally speaking, I think you have to be pretty dang pleased with just about every facet of this offense against a really solid Pittsburgh defense, especially that defensive front. Managing to get the run game going against Pittsburgh wasn't on my bingo card. We'll get to that topic here to finish up the show coming up next.
Today's show is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride with more IIHS top safety picks and awards than anyone else. And man, the way this Bengals offensive line was playing, Jake, well, maybe they could be a top safety pick for Joe Flacco. From footwork to breath work and everything in between, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same intention to how they craft every single model, and you can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. Like our players, the Mazda sweats every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Move and be moved.
We're also brought to you today by Rugiet, who knows that when you cross a bald eagle, standing on top of a silverback gorilla, riding a Tyrannosaurus Rex, you get confidence, pure confidence. And if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Go Long. Rugiet comes along because it's not just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. It takes 2 doctor-trusted medications, combines them into one dual action formula, so you can go the distance, and the effects last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. The process is simple. You'll just connect with a board-certified doctor, 100% online, and if you're prescribed some medication, it'll be shipped discreetly right to your door. And if you're ready to level up your confidence, just head on over. Rugiet.com, Rugiet.com. Use promo code LOCKEDONNFL. You get 15% off your order. That's Rugiet.com. Promo code LOCKEDONNFL. Make sure you use our code so they know we sent you.
Hey, Jake, real quick. You think Joe Flacco took a little Rugiet in the second half, at halftime of Green Bay, got that confidence going? Boom. Okay. They start getting in the end zone, and then boom, popped a few more right before Thursday Night Football. Like, that might have happened. Anyways, you wanted to talk about the run game, and we need to. I do want to say
Chad Johnson was in the stadium, speaking of Rugiet at halftime. But yeah,
for sure.
Run game.
See? Well, and I know you want to talk about the run. I just want to say one thing, because a lot of time when the Bengals lose in the AFC North, it's like, oh, well, they're not built to win in the AFC North. They're not built to win. They just won a huge AFC North game, and they're 2-0 in the division. Now, I get it. You know, there's a lot to say, but like, building around Jamar and T makes sense because they're that special. And I think that's why they can get 33 targets from a quarterback that wasn't here 10 days ago. Right?
Yeah, I was thinking about that
high stakes game.
I was thinking about that meme, you know, like Joe Burrow behind an offensive line that doesn't exist, getting sacked and not getting the ball to Jamar. And then I was thinking, like, just put Joe Flacco behind the line, give him 1.5 seconds, because the ball came out quick tonight. And that helped make the offensive line look better. So Joe Flacco, not Joe Burrow, Joe Flacco, 1.5 seconds, and Jamar and T. And you can have an offensive performance like you had tonight. Not to take anything away from Joe Flacco. He was awesome tonight. Yeah. But to your point, Jamar and T made a huge difference in this one. And Noah Fant contributed too, but the run game was a big factor here. That run game getting going, it was just like last week. They picked up a couple first downs in their first couple of drives. So the first quarter was a little bit better than we've seen from them in the first half the last few weeks, but not much better. They still didn't score. They're still punting the ball away. One of which was a pretty cowardly punt from midfield on 4th and 4. But
hated it. But yes.
Then they got the they got the ball back, and the running game got going. And we saw explosive runs from Chase Brown. We saw Chase Brown getting contacted for the first time way downfield, or maybe a desperate arm tackle from the Steelers. And the Steelers, we talked about that defensive front. Their linebackers have had some issues. Patrick Queen, I think, had a terrible game. There was one point where, when you're watching it from the Bengals perspective, as we do because we're covering the Bengals, you're counting all the missed tackles. Demetrius Knight missed 4 tackles. Barrett Carter missing tackles. Got Geno Stone bouncing off of guys. Got guys on the defensive line missing. Man, so many missed tackles for the Steelers. Actually missed more tackles than the Bengals in this game.
Sure.
A lot of that was Jamar. Well, at least at the last time I looked at PFF charting. A lot of that was Jamar. Some of that was also Chase Brown. A lot of that was Jamar. in this game. But Chase Brown busted off a couple of big runs in this game, a long of 37, averaging a 9.8 yards per carry. Only 11 carries for Chase Brown in this game, but went over 100 yards for the first time in, I was just looking at it on Next Gen Stats, the first time in quite a while, a career high 101 yards after contact for Chase Brown in this game. I thought, I mean, they must be defining contact pretty liberally, like maybe a little arm tackle, because he did run through a couple of those. But what an awesome game for this offensive line to establish some confidence. Like, there were a couple sacks they gave up. Jalen Rivers had a holding penalty when Patrick Queen jumped to snap at one point. Okay. But when your run game averages 6.2 yards per carry, including all of Joe Flacco's kneel downs and his 12-yard run, and Joe Flacco only takes 2 sacks against the Steelers, good step in the right direction for this running game. Samaje Perine out there juking guys, James. It's that kind of day for this running game, the offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, Chase Brown entered tonight with a long run the other day for a season. He did it the other day, 13 yards. And then he ran for 28 yards tonight, and it's like, oh, new season high. And then he runs for the 37-yarder, and it's like, oh, my goodness, what is going on with this ground game? And you want to talk about rebounding from a drop. I mean, his drop was like a 20-yard gain that he dropped, and it derails a drive, and he rebounded in such a gigantic way. And so I always believed in Chase Brown from a talent standpoint. I think he's got it. I think he can play at a really high level. And I'm just glad that happened now, because much like the team, you need to see some success at some point. You need to get that win. You need to get that explosive run. So you just can have some belief. And the offensive line, they deserve credit. I think the tight ends deserve credit. And
actually, shout out Drew Sample. Drew Sample had a nice game blocking, I think. That was my instinct watching the game, and I've given him a lot of crap this year on this show. So shout out for Drew Sample, the contribution in the run game tonight.
Yeah, so it's important, because if you can do that, it's going to open up bigger plays for Joe Flacco in this passing game. And it will. It will if they keep running the ball consistently and effectively.
Nate Tice also pointed out the Bengals had an under center non-play action play, and that was the T. Higgins touchdown. That's just Joe Flacco under center, 3-step drop, hit the back foot, get it out on time to T. Higgins between 4 Steelers defenders. Not many teams around the league. I can't remember the last time I saw the Bengals. I mean, they probably did it a couple times last year, put Joe Burrow under center on a non-play action play where he didn't hand the ball off and he just hit a quick game throw. That's kind of ball Joe Flacco's playing tonight. Flacco, I'm going to say it again, how can you not be romantic after you watched what Joe Flacco did tonight? I mean, what a fun game. And also great on a mic, like incredibly likable. You don't really notice these things when he's playing for other teams, but Flacco, incredibly likable, that veteraniness. And I also said this after or during the game, like nothing like lived experience to make you realize the value of having a good veteran backup quarterback on your team. We'll see how this shapes the Bengals' philosophies with that going forward. That's a topic for another day, I think. Let's quickly hit the defense here before we get out of here, James, because, well, you certainly can be pleased with DJ Turner in this game. Jordan Battle on that interception showed good range. DJ Turner could have also made the interception, but it was good range from Jordan Battle on that play as well. There's a long way for this defense to go. A couple times Steelers get way behind the sticks. Aaron Rodgers converting a 3rd and 18 near the end zone for a touchdown. Can't have that. That's just cover 2, and maybe Dak's not getting enough depth. And then another bust, although it could arguably not be a bust. It could just be Geno Stone being out of position on another cover 2 play against 4 verts. Both of those plays, 4 verts against cover 2. It's got to be better there. There's no pass rush without Trey out there. So still a lot of concerns on that side of the ball, but it's nice to see that at least one side, that the offense with Joe Flacco took a step this week. Just so much work left to be done for Al Golden and his defense. When
we did our preview, said, hey, if this team's going to be good, guess what's going to have to carry them? Yeah, I'm not delusional enough to buy into this defense, right? Certainly not without Trey Hendrickson. It's a big part of it. Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers, they faced 3rd downs, 3rd and long on the first drive of the game. Throw it up to DK Metcalf. And that was his big play, but still, throw it up to DK Metcalf. Another big 3rd down. 1 second, 2 seconds, 8.6 seconds Aaron Rodgers had to throw.
Yeah.
How many? 8.6? both 40-year-old quarterbacks could have ran the 40 in the time that Aaron Rodgers had back there just dancing around. I mean, it was that part's frustrating. And I think that's why, when you look at the end of the game, that's why the Bengals, that's why Zach Taylor, that's why T. Higgins was on the same page. Slide. We're not going to score a touchdown. We're not playing this game. We're not going to try for the touchdown. We trust Evan more than we trust our defense. Like,
no doubt. That's the right decision 10 out of 10 times when you're that close to the end zone.
No doubt. I'm not – but, like, that is also a reflection of, my God, they do not believe that this defense is going to stop Aaron Rodgers. I mean, and I could hear the nervousness in their voice with the 7 seconds on the clock. And then
when that ball went up for the Hail Mary, there's a chance.
No doubt. And we've seen it with Rodgers, which makes it even tougher. And so, this defense has a lot to figure out. DJ Turner, bright spot, loved it. Outside of that, like the battle interception, that singular play. But outside of that, there was at one point in the fourth quarter, Next Gen Stats, Ben Baby gave me this stat. They had 15 missed tackles for over 100 yards.
Yikes.
It's unacceptable. Jalen Warren was never getting tackled by the first defender, ever. Demetrius Knight, multiple missed tackles that I noticed. Barrett Carter, same. It's tough. So they need to figure it out and at least do the basic stuff. If they do that with Joe Flacco at quarterback, force a couple of turnovers, then I think they could be a pretty good team. But this defense has a lot to figure out. There's
a bunch of great tidbits on Next Gen Stats. Now that you sent me down that rabbit hole, I'm going to read a couple before we get out of here. Joe Flacco completed 28 of his passes for 336 yards and 3 touchdowns from a clean pocket. That's the most passing yards in a clean pocket for Flacco since week 4 of 2018. TJ Watt was held to just 2 pressures, according to Next Gen Stats in this game. His lowest pressure rate in a game this season, 5.4% pressure rate. Mims allowed 2 pressures to Watt on 25 one-on-one matchups. Nice game for Marius Mims, according to Next Gen Stats. Last one on the other side of things here. Aaron Rodgers completed 17 of his 22 passes between the numbers for 170 yards and 4 touchdowns. So that's not so good. But
and 4 touchdowns. Is that all?
Yeah, that's
the beginning wasn't like it was awful, but it wasn't like in 4 touchdowns.
Yeah. And some of that's Geno Stone getting too wide in cover 2. The Bengals playing more cover 2 tonight, got beat twice by 4 verts in cover 2. Not a defense that they've called a whole lot this year without Golden, but Golden's play calling to me still leaving something to be desired, from rushing 3 and dropping Osai on that 8-point-something second touchdown to going 0 pressure in the red zone on another 3rd down later in the game that leads to a conversion and a touchdown, I believe, on that drive for the Steelers. Some work to do on the defense, but there's a reason we left it to the end of the show. Super encouraging on the offensive side of the ball. Joe Flacco is elite. Go get your Joe Flacco Bengals white tiger jerseys or whatever you want. Is if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the white outfield still behind James Rapien, looking beautiful. Until next time, that's going to do it for this episode.
Thank you.
Go to bed.
Oh, man.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Locked On Bengals podcast. Hooday, and have a good one.
I am beautiful.
You sure are, buddy.